Hello. In this video, we're going to be solving the equation 6x to the negative 2 plus x to the negative 1 is equal to 2. The first thing I'm going to do is get the 2 to the left-hand side, which means I need to subtract 2 from both sides here. That gives me 6x to the negative 2 plus x to the negative 1 minus 2 is equal to 0. Now, just looking at this, you can kind of see how this is almost a quadratic equation. Not quite, but almost. And the reason it's not quite a quadratic equation is because the exponents are negative. So just like we've done before, we're going to take this middle term here and let it be a replacement variable u. So I'm going to let u equal x to the negative 1 power. Now, if I square u, that means that it's x to the negative 1 squared. But remember, an exponent to an exponent, you multiply the exponents. So negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Oh look, this right here is u squared. Notice that the coefficient is not considered, but only the x to the negative 2. So I'm going to replace these two things with what they are. In this case, we get 6u squared plus u minus 2 is equal to 0. And now you can simply solve this any way you can. In this case, the easiest way is probably factoring. So if I take this 6 using bottoms up, I'm going to bring it over here to the 2. And what we're really going to be solving is, factoring is u squared plus u minus 12. No common factor means a u here, a u here. This negative means opposite signs. What multiplies to 12 and subtracts to give you 1? Well, that's 4 and 3. And because this middle sign is positive, the larger between 4 and 3 must be positive. So we get u plus 4 and u minus 3. But remember, this last term here was multiplied by 6, so we need to divide by 6 now. So it gives me u plus 2/3 times u minus 1/2. And here's where the term bottoms up comes in. Anytime you have a denominator, it goes up in front of the variable within that factor. So the factorization is going to be 3u plus 2 times 2u minus 1, and that's equal to 0. Now notice that if we were to factor this out, 3u times 2u is 6u squared, fantastic. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, fantastic. Now to check the middle term here, we have to do the cross products. The 2 times 2u is 4u, and 3u times negative 1 is negative 3u. So 4u minus 3u gives you u. Fantastic. So this is in fact the factorization of 6u squared plus u minus 2. Now I can simply use the zero factor property. That means that 3u plus 2 equals 0, or 2u minus 1 equals 0. I can subtract 2 divided by 3, so that means that u is negative 2/3, and I can add 1 divided by 2, so u is positive 1/2. But remember, these are just solutions to this quadratic equation. They're not solutions to the original, which we need our solutions to be in terms of x. But remember, here is the relationship. U is x to the negative 1 power. What that means is that x to the negative 1 power will equal negative 2/3. And also x to the negative 1 power will equal 1/2. And again, to get rid of the negative 1, I need to take both sides to the power that is the reciprocal of negative 1. Now think of negative 1 as negative 1 over 1. If you flip it, that becomes 1 over negative 1, which is the same thing as negative 1. So basically, negative 1 is its own reciprocal. Now, the left-hand side is just x. The question becomes, what about the right-hand side? Well, negative 2/3 to the negative 1 power. This always gives people difficulty. So you have to remember what we're going to be using here is something that looks like this. A over b to the negative m power. What that means is b over a to the positive m power. So all this negative does as an exponent is it flips the base. It takes the reciprocal of the base. That's all a negative exponent says, is take the reciprocal. So negative 2/3 to the negative 1, the only thing that happens is that the bottom goes to the top and the top goes to the bottom. In other words, the denominator goes to the numerator and the numerator goes to the denominator, making this negative 3/2. Notice that it is still negative. The only thing that's changed sign is the exponent. Now over here, 1 over 2, if we were to flip those two, that gives us 2 over 1, which of course is just 2. So our solution set is going to be negative 3/2 and 2. Alrighty, well, I will see you in the next video.